On the hill of the mountain stood the castle of the Demon King, in which the sounds of the battle with a ruler could be heard. There were many wounded, and only one girl of the Hammer of the World, Irene, was able to continue the fight. She did not understand why the Demon King was so strong, because even the 7 sages of the world could not defeat him. He said that they broke into his castle and immediately attacked, therefore their defeat was deserved, and still the king can let Irene's friends go if she becomes his. The Hammer of the World blushed at what she heard, but said that she would sacrifice herself to save her friends. The Demon King will get her body if she doesn't defile her soul. He used an ability such as characterization assessment and evaluated her. In order to increase Irene's power, he will change the class to Paladin, then increase the divine light to the maximum level, and also complete the task so that she gets more luck, but it is possible in another way. Holding the Hammer of the World to Irene's face, as if preparing to kiss her, he had in his mind that Duke Gaoji would finally surrender to the Demon King. Imagining debauchery with the Hammer of the World sitting at his computer, the main character became the first person in the game Love in a Thousand Worlds to collect 100 5-star characters. Love in a Thousand Worlds is the most popular online game of recent years, in which you can travel on different planes, and you can also attack all NPCs. For an expert as the main character of love games, this is the best discovery. Looking at the computer monitor for receiving an achievement, he was given a special gift. He did not understand why the monitor suddenly turned black, and what kind of gift it is. After receiving messages about the prize, it began that something happens, and the main character was drawn into the computer. He screamed, falling into obscurity. He opened his eyes after the panic. He was sitting in an unknown place. There was nothing around the main character except endless space. He remembered that the place where he got to was similar to the character creation screen in a recently played game. Looking around, a girl imperceptibly crept up to the main character, who called him chosen. It was a fairy of 10,000 worlds. She said that if there are questions, let them ask. The fairy will answer everything. The main character had only that in his mind, that he really got into the game, and it was unexpected. The guy asked the fairy if he needed to perform some task or get achievements in order to return to his world. In response, he heard that she did not know, and told the main character to play as usual. What was happening was like a plot from a manga read by a guy, and he was expecting some kind of trick in what was happening. The fairy said that the trick was that the characters were as alive as the main character, because he possessed hundreds of characters. This made many people angry. The hero, tired of talking, asked what he needed to do. In the end, he needed to force 100 girls who were angry with him will fall in love with himself. For the main character, it was quite easy with his account, and it was only a matter of time. The fairy reminded that his account was deleted after the restart, and he would have to start from scratch. The fairy and the main character began to quarrel about this information, because the guy invested a lot money and power to her account. She asked not to threaten her, and he himself signed the license agreement. Now the account belongs to the company. In response, the main character asked if he had some ability to not die. The creator prepared for him 5 characteristics that correspond to the 5 attributes in the game. The talent gives the opportunity to get more abilities to become the strongest. Change ability allows you to use shadow abilities and become invisible. Physical strength allows you to pump your body. Intellect promotes the mastery of all types of spells, with the help of which you can destroy the world with one gesture. The main character listened to the fairy and asked what kind of ability charisma had. The answer was that charisma allowed to become beautiful. For the main character, becoming handsome sounded like a joke. He thought that since he is a demon mage, he should choose intelligence. On the interface that was lit, he already reached for the intelligence characteristic. He suddenly sneezed, and by chance he clicked the wrong place and chose charisma. He wanted to choose what the other, but the fairy said that the choice was final and not subject to change, and let him use the system wisely. Kissed the main character. The game began. Magic began to form under the feet of the main character, and he fell into the world of Lineming, the city of Yunzu. A young girl named Yinzuan, a snow shadow wizard whose power level was 5 stars, wanted to buy herself a hair clip. The saleswoman said that by her clothes you could tell that she was a student of Yin Yin Men. Yin Yin Men kills evil spirits and protects the peace of the city of Yunzu. The saleswoman offered the barrette for free since she liked the sorceress. When she tried to refuse the offer, she heard something fall from the sky. The main character, not understanding why there was no easier way to move, fell straight into the women's bathhouse. He claimed that the girls did not understand correctly and did not want to offend them, so he simply asked to leave. They were in awe of the boy's beauty. They offered him to undress to look at him. The main character, whose whole face was covered in kisses, ran as far away from the young girls as possible. The city guard rushed after him, accusing him of being a pervert. Trying not to go to prison, the main character sped up and shouted that it was a misunderstanding. The girls watching the pervert's escape thought how handsome he is. The guards let him out of sight. The main character hid behind the corner of the building where it was safe. Suddenly an interface with the building appeared to get the fairy of cloud shadows, Yinzuan. It seems to the main character that this is mere Linman. In the game, this world is built on the basis of Xiangxia, and Yin Shuisai is a student of Yin Yinten from the Shacristian sect. The interface that hung above the main character was similar to the game one, except that there is an additional storage. He decided to look at the attributes he saw because the system was selected charisma. All attribute points were given to charisma after receiving the task, followed by receiving the skill called Evil Smile. Evil Smile of protection and effects showing a smile that can increase the target's favor towards himself. The effect is influenced by the charisma attribute. The hero did not understand how it would help him, but time was running out because the guards noticed him, and he had no choice but to test the ability. He used it. He had a face as if he were a real pervert. The whole guard was horrified that such a terrible smile exists. Because the main character rarely smiled in life, he did not manage to use the ability. He heard some voice talking about the activation of an evil skill smiles. The guard was enchanted by the skill. Their heartbeats increased, and they even fell in love with the man. One of the guards said that even if the whole world did not have time to negotiate, the main character hit the guard with a stone in the face and asked for forgiveness that it was not mutual and destroyed his hopes. The search got up after the attack on the officer, not understanding what kind of stupid settings, as well as the level of the search. The main character saw a bunch of other officers running towards him for attacking the officer, and the local residents. The guards began to load their bows with arrows and aim at him. Fired one arrow and left a scratch on the guy's shoulder. He understood that he would not be able to escape. All attribute points were transferred to charisma. Trying to escape, he turned into the street where he bumped into the chest of a maiden by Huolo. Liu Ron 2 stars of power. She did not work today. That's why she asked not to make a scene. He apologized in return and asked, "Can such a beauty help?" For her, the main character was beautiful. She said that they usually don't do this, but for such a handsome man they will help. The interface announced a new achievement as friendship with Liu Ron. She told the other girls to meet the guests. The young girls understood what needed to be done and were ready. The guard asked Liu if she had seen the pervert who ran into this street. She tried to convince him that the guard had identified himself and they could not hide the criminal. The officers broke into house and began a search. Ron asked why they broke in here, and this is an unfounded accusation on their part. The officer asked how they dared to interfere with the performance of official duties. He can easily close this place. Liu reminded that the chief of officers comes to this establishment 10 times a month, so let them think about whether they can close this house. Called Liu Ron mother and asked not to embarrass the officers. The voice of the mistress by Huolu was heard from the balcony. Feng Ling's hang power level 4 stars. Her body is like a forest breeze, and her spirit is like an empress who loves the people. The officers looked at her with embarrassment. She said that if they want to find something here, let them search, because they have nothing to hide, while the main character was sitting under the lady's long dress, blushing from being close to her. After half an hour of searching, the guards did not find anything either outside or inside the building. Feng asked if there were any more questions for them, to which she heard apologies. She mentioned the opening of the establishment, so she offered to stay. The officers refused the offer and already were about to go. The main character, who is sitting under the dress of the owner of the establishment, suddenly grabbed her by the leg asking her to change her position because her whole body was already numb. She couldn't hold back her moan, and the officer heard it. He asked if everything was okay. Maybe they really there hiding. Feng began to try to hide a moan. Suddenly the officer was grabbed by the cheek and began to pull with all his might. It was his wife who claimed that the fugitive had hid, and her husband was cooling off here. She was furious and began to pull him home by the cheek, and he asked, explaining that there is work here. The owner of the house sighed with relief that everything is over. The main character began to move under the dress. Feng asked why he was moving and fell to the floor. He was lying unconscious after being strangled. The girls wondered, why did he lose consciousness? But Feng Lingsheng noticed the wound on the main character's shoulder. After one of them remembered Lingsheng's medical skills, she tore the bottom of her dress and began to bandage the wound, at the same time ordered the others to prepare hot water, medicine, wash his wound, and leave the room. The girls began to follow orders. When the guy was already in the room, the young ladies surrounded him, enjoying the beauty of the hero. Each of them wanted to be with him while he lay unconscious. Fan came into the room Lissang, carrying medicine for the player's speedy recovery. The girls decided to give him medicines with their mouths. Thus, our hero managed to charm 3 ladies, but the girls did not agree on who would give him medicine, which is why Lishan had to kick them out and do it herself. They left, still feeling the injustice and wanting it. Left alone with the guy, Mistress Bai Huolo set to work, telling herself that it was all to save his life. The hero again receives a hint that he has successfully charmed the girl, after which she kisses him, thus passing the medicine. Suddenly, the player wakes up, bearing his savior on his back, continuing to kiss her. The girl was embarrassed, but could not resist me, so their successful acquaintance happened, for which the player received 200 points. Suddenly, the guy finds himself in some unknown forest, and when he turns, 2 mad blue slugs jump out of the bushes and stick to his face. But it turns out to be a dream, and the guy wakes up lying on Lishan's chest, muttering through his sleep, "I hate slugs." Apparently he got a little mixed up. "Watch me kill you." The guy continued, after which the girl's screams were heard from the room. After slapping the guy who had no idea what he was confusing the slugs with, Lingen was indignant, covering her chest. "Pervert. How could you harass me while I was sleeping?" But the hero stood, not even understanding whether he had really been hit. Hearing screams, Roan entered the room, saying, "Hod sweetie, you finally woke up." She was glad that the young man had awakened. The guy thanked the girls because he really needed it, but immediately he was faced with a choice: either stay and work for Roan to pay for the services, or go to the uncles as an officer who would immediately grab the fugitive. Of the girls would benefit, and the hero will have to pay all medical expenses. After not listening to the end, the player chose the second option. Do I have to trade my body? No, I choose the second one, which he immediately regrets and agrees to the first option. The girls are happy with his choice, although they did not attach any importance to it. Looking at Lishan, the boy winked, saying that someday he would repay her for her kindness. The girl's cheeks immediately acquire a soft pink hue, so the hero began to work in Baihulo. The work was difficult for him. The girls felt sorry for him, offering to bring water to the guy, wipe the sweat from their foreheads. In addition, they verbally regretted, saying, "You are so tired, I feel sorry for you." And one even offered to relax in her room. But the young man rejected them. The longer he stayed in Baihulo, the more he charmed the girls and got points. With a smirk on his face, the guy comes to the conclusion that if he can make the girls happy, he will earn more points. He likes this system. By evening, the hero sits in his room. He managed to earn 1,000 points, and now he wants to see what he can exchange them for, when he suddenly finds a limitless stone of charm. The Boundless Charm Stone is a book that was written thousands of years ago by the most attractive man, has the effect of improving relationships and increasing charisma points through intimate contact with the opposite sex. This technique is perfect for me, thought the guy, and wondered how many points it would take to buy this. Looking at the price of the book, he was shocked and immediately began to resent. Is this some kind of joke? I plowed for a few days for 1,000. Where is the logic in this game? Indeed, the cost of the book was 100,000, that's 100 times more. Meanwhile, the Fairy of 1,000 Worlds was watching him. She was interested in his choice and did not want to deprive him of the opportunity to have fun, so she made an exception for the newcomer. Suddenly, the guy saw a hint of a system that made it possible for beginners to buy equipment at a 99% discount within 10 minutes. This chance was not to be missed, and without thinking twice, he seized the opportunity. After buying a boundless charm stone, the hero took to the air, and a purple glow gathered around him. Items successfully received. The system prompt made it clear. Having mastered 1,000 secret techniques, the young man's eyes lit up with a purple flame. He received a charisma level of 6/10, and his account became 60 points. All evening the girls were touched by him, saying how cute he is today. Even at the first meeting, he did not seem as pretty as he is now. After the guy took the drink to Gaoganya, one of the clients, but then he fell into a rage and broke the jug. I pay money for the attention of girls, and they are all passionate about you. You're stealing this from me. But the young man, with a smile on his face, pretended but did not understand the reason and said, "Sir, what are you talking about? There is no one more dazzling than you here." Gaogan took this as a mockery and immediately lashed out at the guy. "How dare you provoke me, Gaoganya? Do you want trouble?" Lishan stood up for the guy, asking for forgiveness before Mr. Gao, because the guy is still new and does not know how to deal with customers. Gaogan agreed with Lishan since she herself stood up for him, but on the condition that she drink a glass of wine, which she did. The master praised Mistress Baihu's incomparable face low and asked how much he would have to pay to feel her breeze p/p. Breeze is a play on words referring to her name, but the girl immediately rejected him, saying that she does not sell the body, her mission is article. But he did not want to stop, and when she apologized, he poured hot heart powder into her glass. 15 minutes later, while in her room, Ms. Feng was dying from the heat after drinking that glass of wine. She took off her clothes because she couldn't stand the heat. Then Arnavis entered her room. He wanted to thank the girl and prepared a special soup for her, but when he saw the half-naked girl, he immediately began to leave, saying that he had not seen anything. Lishan stopped him, asking for a favor. There was a desire-enhancing powder in the glass of wine. "Bring me back to normal ... maybe ... it is free." With these words, the girl threw the last clothes on the guy's face. The amount of charisma has successfully increased. Meanwhile, Gaogan has the wrong room. He entered the room saying, "The powder should have worked by now. Honey, I'll put out the flames." But instead of a charming girl, he was met by a beefy man with blonde hair, soft pink makeup, and the same outfit. "Baby, can't you fall asleep? I will definitely help you." In a panic, Mr. Gao pressed himself against the door, explaining that he had mixed up the rooms, but the man in pink insisted. Something was falling from the ceiling. A girl with dark brown hair suggested that they were rats, to which the other replied, blushing a little. "It is true that in the heart of the master there is a rat. It beats and suffers, trying to get out of the young body." At that time in Feng's room there was a passionate and at the same time tender seclusion of our young man and Lady Feng. After the end of the process, the guy was confused and kind of shocked because he did it. Pressing the pillow to hair, covering her charms that nature gave her, the girl said that the guy should not worry. She is a girl from a brothel, this is her job. To which the hero jokingly replied, "Then you shouldn't act as if you are embarrassed." The offended girl threw a pillow at the guy and told him to get out. The guy left, but the girl continued to think about it, because he really was her first. After he left, Lishan was worried that she had said something wrong. Meanwhile, the player thought that this is not at all like a game, the feeling is now too real. But his thoughts were interrupted by Gao Gan, who ran out of Baihulo in disgrace. The girls around him shamed him. What is he? Skin and bones. He should not appear in such places with such an ugly body. Gao Gan noticed the young man and indignantly shouted, running away from the institution. The man who made Feng drunk. If it weren't for Gao, Lishan would have been fine. However, this was a great opportunity to practice techniques. Once in his room, the player was promoted to the second level. In addition, he acquired a new skill that even the enemies would not be able to resist. The technique originated after the Great Battle of King and Master Dongying in the Katoyon area. They tried to control each other without causing physical harm. It's hard for the hero to evaluate new skills, but everything seems to be clear in this. He rather wanted to try the technique. Seeing the cat on the windowsill, the boy folded his index finger and thumb into a heart shape and pointed at the cat. She immediately pounced on him, caressing her nose on his neck. Victory! This thing works great, thought the young manual. After buying a gift for Feng, the player was walking around the market when he suddenly saw Yin Zuan is a snow shadow magician. Her power level is 5 stars. The girl wanted to buy a thing, asking the seller if it was for sale. He agreed to sell it to her with a 20% discount because of her beauty. It would cost 800 taels. The thing is good and 800 taels are not so expensive, but her father asked her to think about spending away from home, and because of which the girl hesitated. A young man approached her, asking the price of the thing, and since he heard the conversation between the seller and the young lady, he agreed to sell him the same with a 20% discount. The young man asked if it was made of ice stone. The seller corrected him. It is made of the finest jade with pieces of ice. Very expensive job, but he still aroused the suspicions of the hero, so he asked if this was exactly his thing. The irritated seller made it clear that this was his jewelry. Then the player took the thing in his hands and broke it with one touch of his finger, saying that it was a fake. He advised the girl to better watch what she buys. The girl scolded the seller because he has no conscience at all. But he, not listening to her, got on the young man, threatening him with problems. The two men walked towards the player, stretching their arms. One politely, but obviously not with a friendly tone, asked if he was willing to pay, and the other, hinting at the problems that the young man might have, told him to beware. The girl stood up for the player, not wanting to spare them, but the young man was ready for battle. His eyes lit up with a purple flame. He made it clear to the girl that it was not worth interfering in this and stepped forward. A third man with dark purple hair approached the two. Taking them under his arms, he said that they were unusual fighters. We graduate from Liu Academy as professional fighters, prepared to die. With these words, they began to demonstrate their abilities, standing up in a fighting stance. Yin Zuan, they seem stupid, which she said. She called the guy ambitious, but also advised him not to underestimate them. The player turned around. Now you're calling me ambitious? The girl's heart beat faster after she saw his face. The man in purple did not like their conversation and attacked the guy, but then the young man used his new skill. Making a heart again out of his thumb and forefinger, he jabbed the man in the stomach, while saying, seducing the finger of the essence. The boss of the fighters immediately fell to the ground. With a stupid smile, he said how nice it was, but his accomplices were greatly shocked. They stood behind him, not understanding what was happening. The guy threatened that if they didn't stop, the same thing would happen to them, and apparently they didn't stop. The young man again applied his powers, and those two seemingly strong men turned into tender and loving ones. 3 professional fighters made out in the street of the market. Just think about it. The child who passed by this scene asked his mother what uncles were doing. But his mother closed his still innocent eyes, saying that it was impossible to look at this. The salesperson was furious when he saw this. He began to scold the fighters because they will scare away all the buyers. Blushing a little, the girl praised the guy's tricks, saying that she did not know that this was taught in the sect, to which the guy smiled awkwardly, answering that they were not members of the sect. He was taught this by an old man in the village. The young man asked the cute girl's name, and she introduced herself as disciple Yin Yin Men, Yin Zuan. The guy has already heard about Yin Yin Men, and Zuan suggested that he test his strength in selecting 13th generation disciples in a few days, but their conversation was interrupted by Gao Gan, who was looking for his sister Yin Zuan, but she was clearly not happy about this. Brother, what do you care about where I am? Noticing Gao, the player mockingly greeted him, saying that he had not seen him in the House of 100 Flowers for several days. Did he not recover? Hearing this, the sister became furious. How could Gao walk around the brothels? But Gao Gan accused the guy of lying. He is just an errand boy. How can you trust that vile dog? This did not stop the player. With a smirk on his face, he asked to remember Gao and their entertainment in the institution. Confused, Gao wanted to explain himself, but his sister did not listen to anything, saying that he would report to the head teacher. "Scoundrel, you put sticks in my wheels again and again," Gao said, turning to the young man, but he only mocking him replied, "Welcome, as they say. The ladies miss you." That evening, Lishan stood at the mirror, feeling something strange. "The last few days, the silhouette of that guy pops up in my thoughts," she thought. The player then presented Lishan with a golden item with a green stone, to which Feng reacted calmly and admitted that it was the most useless trinket, but immediately she held the item to her and said that she liked him. The guy was glad about this and said that he would leave her to rest, and we would go about our business. He saw Lishan's handkerchief fell and reached for it, but immediately the girl sitting on chair touched the tips of her toes to his chin, and from her lips it sounded, "Today you will do without work. You are booked." Raising his head, the guy looked at the girl, saying that he was very expensive. Then the girl answered him that she had saved a lot of money and was ready to pay as much as he needed, but the hero, without answering a word, joined her lips, and then pulled away and gently said, "This kiss is enough, let me serve my sister well." He pushed her onto the bed, hovering over her. "It's too late. Just let me forget everything." Lishan replied to the boy, blushing a little, after which the experience points of charm began to increase again. The next morning, the young man woke up with the words, "Sorry, concubine, I got up late, so I'm going to cook for you early." But instead of God Feng his place, he found a letter. "When you see this letter, I will already leave. Qinyuanjin the Yuzi know what happiness is and what love is. You don't love me and I don't love you. I decided to leave, hoping that the master would have no remorse, follow the path he desired, do what he wanted, and realize what he dreamed of. See you." After reading the letter, the player received the Fengling card. Beauty was the bonus of the card. With the card, the guy could use his gaze to confuse the target and make himself feel closer to him. This effect is affected by the charm attribute. The hero did not expect the first map to be unlocked like this. Fengling expiated her guilt, after which the guy wanted to leave. He relayed the news to Roan, saying that he had unfinished business waiting for him. He bowed with the words, "There is nothing permanent in the world, and I will definitely remember your hospitality." But Roan didn't want him to just leave and call the girls. They were willing to do anything to keep Xiaoyuan, but he did not resist either. And after his words, "Look at my beautiful fingers," the guy began to increase points for seduction again. After satisfying the ladies, Xiao left saying, "See you later." And so the journey of our hero continued. The guy's next goal was to find Yin Zuin, which he did. The girl walked down the street, and her brother walked behind her. He received a letter from the teacher and offered to return to clan today to help prepare for the initiation ceremony of a new generation of disciples, although the girl was not worried about it because this place was not far from their clan, but her brother thought she was hiding something. At that moment, they met with Xiao. The guy mentioned that he was looking for her, and she immediately let him know that he could count on her. The young man then explained his situation. Xiao wanted to go to the Yining clan to study with a teacher, but he had topographical cretinism, which could delay his trip. He wanted to ask Miss Yinan to give him a ride. The girl agreed to let him down, saying that they themselves wanted to return, and after that she added, "My imperial sword will give you a ride." But her brother was not pleased. Men and women should not touch each other. How can Sister Yin go with him? "I'll take this guy," Gao protested. Gan, at the same time thinking that this is a chance to get revenge on him. He wanted to leave Xiao halfway through. The guy thanked him for his kindness, but still refused. "The smell of your sweat is unbearable. My younger brother is afraid that he will faint for a while." Gao Gan immediately went berserk. "It stinks of you afterwards. You son of a fowl, believe it or not, but I'll kill you." The sister giggled softly, and the brother again began to make excuses to her, but even then she quickly shut him up, saying that this had nothing to do with her, and ordered Xiao to go to her. She warned the guy to hold on to her when the sky is high and the wind is strong, and he went to her. Grabbing Xiao with one hand, Sister Yin rose into the air, followed by Gao. Zuin repeated to Xiao to hold on tight, since the first sword flight is very strenuous. Then I'll be rude, Xia replied to her, holding on tight to the girl. The guy praised Sister Yin's fragrance. He asked if all the celestials smelled so good, but the girl did not take his words seriously, asking what it smelled of her. The young man did not stop there. He still claimed that a pleasant smell emanated from the girl. Gao Gan was not at all happy about this, because his sister is so close to this child. Turning to Gao, Xiao showed his tongue, slightly pulling the lower eyelid with his finger, which was the last drop of Gao Gan. He firmly decided that he would kill him now with the guiding needle. Gao Gan pointed the crane needle at Xiao and fired at him, saying only one thing in his mind, die. But Zuan knew from the sound that they were being shot at and covered the player, protecting him. Seeing who fired the shot, she went into shock. It was Gao Gan, her brother. She did not understand why he did this, and he once again tried to explain himself, because he was aiming at the guy. The girl fell down together with the young man, after which they heard, Yin, Sister Yin. He stood at a loss and did not know what to do. He could not save them, because they were both struck by the haze of a crane. They fell into the water of the Bone Lake, where the water is too cold. But after some thought, he did not dare to take any action, wanting to protect his skin. If he saves her, then she will inform the mentor, who will definitely not forgive Gao. He consoled himself with the fact that she herself was to blame. She was the one who rushed to protect the young Manuel. Looking at the lake, he continued on his way. The girl and the boy fell into the water. Zuan slowly closed her eyes, losing consciousness, but then Xiao swims towards her, pulls the girl to him, and kisses her, sharing air with her, and she opens her eyes again. Turning around, the player sees a sword that floats straight towards them. It's Yuan Zuhan's saber. Does he really also have natural abilities, and therefore he came to the savior? Seeing the opportunity to escape, the guy immediately picked up a sword and headed for land. Landing next to the tree, Xiao Yuan exhaled as he managed to save himself and save Zuan. But the guy did not get to rest. Turning around, he noticed how they were surrounded by a pack of bloodthirsty wolves. Well, in this case, it remains only to fight. But they just escaped imminent death, the young man said, raising his middle and forefinger up. Suddenly, the bloodthirsty beast pounced on Xiao, and a clue appeared in front of the guy. The system offered to exchange cheats for the Cloud Swordsmanship skill, which can be used to slightly increase agility whenever it hits a target. The cost of the skill was 500 points. After purchasing the skill, Yuan immediately attacked the wolf with an accurate hit, for which he received another 50 points. Killing a monster adds points. If so, great, the guy thought. Xiao fought the monsters, saying, the passing clouds and smoke, stormy stream, change, indistinctness. But the animals did not become less. Yuan's combat skills began to go down. Now they can't just be wasted. Suddenly, Or was heard from behind him. It was a 4-star Earth Demon Bear. Looks like the fun is just beginning. The monster was very strong on the outside, but the guy seemed to have his own plan. Standing in front of her, he beckoned her with his finger, saying, let's go to the bank. Lady Bear, let's be friends. The monster grabbed Xiao both paws, limiting it to any movements. Crap, the charm didn't work, probably due to the fact that her level is too high, the guy thought, when suddenly the bear pulled him to her and licked the guy's cheek. Looking menacingly at the other predators that attacked the girl and the guy, the demonic bear of the earth began to protect Xiao and Zuan. That same night, the guy and the girl ended up in a cave provided by a bear. After frying the fish on a fire, Xiao handed it to the bear, thanking her for her help, shelter, and food. The beast caressed, thereby showing love for the guy. Yuan smiled and said that he had some unfinished business to complete and promised that he would play with her later. Approaching Lady Yin, Xiao wanted to try to detoxify her body by sucking out the poison from the wound, though he wasn't sure if that would help. Asking for forgiveness, he slightly lowered the dress from his shoulder, pressing his lips to the wound. A pinkish tint appeared on the girl's cheeks. After sucking out some of the poison, Xiao went out to spit it out. The poison was quite strong. As soon as it got into the mouth, it was immediately felt how the poison penetrated into the blood and spread. It had so much toxin in it. But the young man did not stop, wanting to get rid of the poison as much as possible. In the morning, the girl woke up covered with a pale brown cloth. She tried to remember what had happened the day before. Seeing the blood on the floor and her clothes, she immediately thought that the guy took advantage of her and fell into a rage. Xiao was carrying fruit for Lady Yin, happy that she was awake, but the girl immediately pounced on him. The guy dropped the fruit out of fright and did not understand that this had suddenly happened to Zun. Misunderstanding the situation, the girl accused him of taking advantage of her while she was unconscious. "First I will kill you, and then I will commit suicide," said the girl, and tears could be seen in her eyes from the vile act of the guy. He wanted to explain everything to her, but she did not listen to him. Swinging a sword at the guy, Yosiao's sword did not let her pierce the guy. The girl was surprised by this behavior of the sword, but after she realized that he did nothing. With a cough, the guy spat out a red liquid. After the girl asked him what was wrong with him, he explained that while he was sucking out the poison from Lady Yin, he accidentally got poisoned. "I'm afraid I won't last long," the guy pressed on pity, because it was not blood at all, but berries that he did not finish chewing on the way to the cave. The girl was surprised by the boy's behavior. Then the girl asked Xiao why he was not hurt, because Gao attacked him. The young man told her about the jade pendant in the form of a maple leaf, which his girlfriend gave him when they said goodbye. This pendant lay with Yuan all the time and slept with him. The girl admitted that she wanted to thank the player for saving her, but now she is too weak, and although it does not seem to her that Yuan is seriously poisoned, she cannot help get rid of the poison, so she advised the guy to rely on his own strength. Zun said that she could only teach him the Yin hidden technique 6 sun melting snow, after which the guy could use it and detoxify his body. But the guy doubted that they would succeed because he was not a member of the Yin clan. Lady Yin reassured him by saying that it was no big deal since the boy had saved her. In addition, Xiao wanted to join Yin Yang. "With your kind heart and character, the clan will definitely agree to take you on as an apprentice. So it's only a matter of time." Yuan was convinced by the girl. The guy thanked her by calling her Miss Yin, but she said it was time to change her address. The boy then thanked her again, addressing her as Master Yin. This suited the girl, and they began training. Meanwhile, Gao Gan had already arrived at the Yin Yin clan. Bowing to Yin Zongyan, head of the Yin Yin clan, he reported on the situation. "This is all of followers' inattention. Although I sensed that the boy had unclean intentions, he still deceived his sister, and she took him with her. He wanted to attack his sister, but I tried to save her. But in the end, in desperation, he dragged her into the icy bone lake. All because of a follower. Please punish me." The clan leader flew into a rage, ordering to immediately go to the bone lake and find Yin Zun, dead or alive, but he wanted her to be brought into the clan. Gao Gan, raising his head, also asked to let him go in search. The mentor, believing all his impudent lies, said that he was not guilty of anything. "I believe that Han is a good person because everything succeeds, so nothing will happen. You must make every effort to find her." But Gao Gan did not leave. His father Gao Zhang, head of the Yin Yin clan's elixir of immortality, offered him a newly improved medicine that can temporarily increase strength when applied to the body. Gao Gan thanked his father, saying that he would definitely find his sister. With the words, "The matter is urgent," so Gan is forced to leave first. The guy went in search. Gao Zhang tried to calm the head, saying that he and the Yin Yin clan weren't counting on him, but Yin Zongyan was not comforted by this, because his daughter was gone. Brother mentor Zhang did not stop. "What nonsense, Han and Gan are childhood friends, they will definitely get married in the future. I am also worried, what if something happens to my daughter-in-law?" But Han's father made it clear that this issue could only be raised if Gan could lead the Yin Yin clan, and he also reminded Gao Zhang that one shouldn't rely too much on making pills and improving medicines. Only cultivating oneself is the only right way. Father Ganyu agreed with him, but his thoughts were not at all like this. The right way. In any case, in the end, it will be our family that will lead the Yin Yin clan. During this time, Xiao Yuan was engaged in fishing. Looking into the water, he thought that this was a rather difficult task, but it was impossible to return empty-handed because then Lady Yin and the bear would die from their heads. No use for the power of charm. Beauty will not help you get food, he thought, as suddenly a bunch of fish jumped out of the water on the guy. It seems that they fell under the power of his charm, and yet attraction and food can find. Raising his head up, Yuan noticed the flying Yin Yang clan monks who had come to search for Yin Zuan. The guy immediately went to the girl to discuss everything with the lady. Yin Zuan was sitting in a cave. She used the 6 sun melting snow technique to get the poison out, but after finishing the process, she still needed 2 or 3 more to fully recover her skills. The girl heard a rustle behind the cave and thought it was Yuan, but to her surprise it was Gao Gan. He entered, saying, "What is?" Disappointed, so friendly to him. "It seems that your relationship is developing very quickly." The girl was immediately seized with resentment. She was going to report to her mentor that it was he who had hurt her. Gao Gan did not listen to her and continued to bear his own. He did not understand how she survived after such an injury. He didn't want her dead, but under the circumstances he couldn't let her live. The girl advised him not to do everything that only comes into his head, because there is no turning back. Then Gao Gan expressed all his feelings to her. I've been in love with you for so many years, but you didn't even give me a chance. But he was able to get closer to you in just a few days. What a girl. Why should I retreat? Since I can't get you, I will destroy it. With these words, Gao swallowed the medicine that his father had given him. He threatened to deprive him of her arms and legs, then force him to kneel and lick his shoes. Suddenly, it lit up with a purple light. Its power greatly surprised the girl. The girl was afraid that with such a state she would not be able to cope with him. Gao Gan said the last word, "Farewell." He was about to destroy the Han, but a fish flew into his face. Slightly tossing another fish up and then catching it, Xiao Yuan greeted the villain. It arrived just in time. Zuan immediately alerted the boy that Gao wanted to take their lives. Gan was confident in himself, because now he would be able to defeat the offenders. Xiao thought it was a side mission, and he was right. What flashed before him was exactly as he expected. His task was to defeat Gao Ganya. The reward for this was 500 points. Xiao borrowed the sword from Yin, after which the guys got into a fight. Yuan slightly cut his opponent's cheek, but he did not despair, because Xiao was just a rookie. Gao's sword flash pushed Yuan away, and Yuan fell to the ground. The player tried to get up, but Gao Gan was ahead of him. He lifted Xiao by the scruff of the neck so that the hero could see in the air. Feeling victory over Yuan, Gao said that he would torture him to death and then take his sister away right in front of him. He wanted to stop them in this way, but the guy made a heart shape with his thumb and forefinger and poked them in Gao's chest. Ganya saying, "You idiot, the temptation acts on all living beings." While the temptation worked on Gao Ganya, Xiao Yuan pulled his sword towards him and cut off his opponent's hand with the ultimate cloud swordsmanship spoiled mood technique. With a cry, my Handra, Gao Gan began to retreat. Running out of the cave, he shouted to the young man that he would still pay for everything, only that he needed to find his father. But at the exit of the cave, the young man crashed into the demonic bear of the earth, which was ready to tear to shreds anyone who touched Yuan, which she did. Mission to capture Gan completed. Reward 500 points. The system made it clear that the mission was completed. After the incident, Yuan and Han, dragging Gan with them, arrived at the Yin Yin clan and told the chief about the whole situation. The girl explained to her father that Gao Gan mortally wounded her with a hidden weapon, and Xiao saved Han with no small effort. Gao Xun was disappointed in his son, and Yin Zongyang made his decision on this matter. According to our laws, an execution is due for an attempt to kill a clan member, but I will take into account my attachment to my brother and the wounding of Gan. I will save his life. However, brother, you must watch him carefully so that he does not do anything else. Any objections? Thanking the head for mercy, Gao Xun accepted his guilt and said that he did not dare to complain, and then left with his son. The master wanted to generously reward Qin Yuan for saving his daughter and allowed him to ask for anything, but he replied that he had no intention of receiving a reward. He admired the Yin Yin clan for a long time and admitted that he would like to learn from them. Yin Zongyin saw that the guy had a good heart, because the guy even saved the girl. The head should have accepted him with open arms, but in recent years too many people have joined the clan, and in order to somehow control the students, the elders decided to introduce a testament. The girl objected to her father because Jin did his best to save her, but the guy was on the side of the head. He knew that Yin Zongyang is an honest manual. The player could not let the tutor break his own principles for his sake and agreed to the trials to join the Yin Yang clan. Well done, which is to be expected from the person brought by the daughter, said the head, but Han understood that he did not mean anything like that, although it sounded strange. After the guys talked with the head, Han called him with her to show the guy the Yin Yang clan. Jin was madly in love with Yin Yang's heart scenery. Not everyone could enter there. The girl told the boy to undress so as not to waste time to practice the 6 sun snow melting technique, but the boy didn't think about why he was shocked at such a quick turn of events. Blushing slightly, the girl yelled at the boy, explaining more clearly why they had come to this place. Yin Zuan and Jin Yuan began to practice. The 6 sun snow melting technique is divided into 6 levels. On each level you feel the presence of the sun in a different way. During cultivation, the body heats up. When you get to the 2nd floor, you find yourself in a very cold place. That's where you need to cultivate, the girl said while Jin sat with his bare torso cross-legged. Taking off her outer clothing, Han sat down behind him, placing her palms on the young man's back. She wanted to help the player if they couldn't reach the 3rd level. The guy concentrated on technique and reached the 3rd level of technique, and his strength increased by 60, and in his current state was 70. It seems that Qin Yuan successfully broke through the 2nd level, the girl thought, but the guy's body temperature continued to rise, and the veins on him began to stand out. This is a clear indication that he is about to break through the 3rd level. How come? Was in the girl's mind. Jin, coughing up blood, fell to the ground. The guy was too hot. Looking at this, Han again went into thought. This place can no longer suppress the energy of Qin Yuan's 6 suns. I know that there is an inner fire that occurs at the time of cultivation. It also cannot be suppressed. You need to wait until the energy of the sun evaporates. Nothing will happen to the body, but what to do? The girl's gaze fell on the guy's groin, but immediately blushing, she shook her head, removing the idea she had just thought up from her head. No, no, men and women shouldn't kiss like this. Besides, dirty. The guy could not stand it. His body burned from the inside. The girl had no choice and sat opposite the guy, lowering her leg between his legs. The girl touched the guy's groin with her fingertip and began to rescue her friend. Yuan woke up an hour later, but did not remember anything. The girl, blushing, told him that he was on the verge, and therefore she had to help him so that the young man felt better. Jin thanked Han for helping, but did not understand why she was so strange and her face was red, but Zuan reassured him, saying that she was just tired. The 6 sun melting technique was upgraded to level 4, the strength increased to 90. In addition, the young man received an additional skill face changing. The skill could increase the speed of energy flow as well as power for a short period of time. In order to apply this force, you need to release all the accumulated rage, otherwise there will be none, the system explained to the guy. The guy did not expect that in one fell swoop he would get to the 4th level. He felt the energy in his body, which could not find a place for itself. Suddenly, someone jumped on the guy from behind, shouting, "Die!" Someone whose face and body were hidden by clothes attacked Yuan, but Yuan reacted in time. When their palms collided, a huge ball of ice formed between them and pushed them apart. A sea-covered attack. This level of power. It seems like you can't do more, the guy shouted, but immediately his hand began to ice, then his body. It turned out that the person hidden by the clothes used a demonic palm, from which Yuan was completely trapped in ice. Yin Zuan had to fight on her own, although her body still hadn't recovered from helping Yuan. It wasn't easy for her. From the movements of the opponent, Yin knew from the movements that this was a disciple of their clan, but she did not understand why he would attack them. Meanwhile, Yuan's rage was building up. Don't underestimate the people who turned into a scorching sun. With these words, ice fragments began to scatter from his body, and the young man himself caught fire. He was not interested in the motives and history of the NPC, because this is just a step through which he needs to step over. Having created a fireball, the young man attacked someone, tearing his clothes on his chest. Wait, is that a girl? The young man did not even have time to react as she sped away. Jin wanted to run after her, but Zuan stopped him. Looking at Han, Yuan offered to help her, as the hidden girl had hurt her. The ice demon palm has many varieties of damage. For example, I can suck in cold air and then spread it all over my body. Han explained to the guy, wincing at the injury. The young man asked to show where she was wounded, and she pointed to her chest. It's Sister Yin, in that case, I beg your pardon. Now is not the time to think about gender differences, Yuan said, placing his hands on her chest and getting down to business. Yin's cheeks reddened again. The experience of unlimited magic increased as Yin's face became more and more reddish. By the way, why are your hands moving all the time? Han asked, embarrassed, but the guy reassured her, assuming that friction would speed up regeneration and spread heat. An hour later they finished. Sister Yin, I think the cold has finally left your body. The young man was right, but this took half an hour. Just in case, I wanted to finally get rid of the coldness in Yu-Ni-Chain's body. The guy justified himself, although in fact it was due to the fact that the girl was immersed in her thoughts. Shouldn't she be angry now? Yuan thought. Han realized that he was taking her for a fool, but decided to keep talking about it. She admitted that the young man once again saved her, but did not thank him. Smiling, the guy offered to the next day to train again to prevent the spread of a cold, but after the girl glared menacingly at the guy immediately apologized and said that he was joking. Who is that man in black? Judging by the movements, she belongs to our clan, but here's how to figure her out. The girl reasoned aloud, but the guy reassured her, because he had injured her and that girl should have had a wound on her chest. If she was from the Yin Yang clan, then Han should have just kept an eye on everyone. Meanwhile, the girl in black landed on the ground. She had very little left to achieve her goal, but the guy prevented her, violating her plans. The girl was angry at this, when suddenly she heard a voice. It's really a pity, such a chance does not often fall out. The girl got scared. Raising her head, she saw that it was Gao Shun, but he had no intention of handing her over. Now Have Girl and Gao Ganya is a common enemy, so Shun wanted to offer her a deal. If you help me, I will provide you with mutual assistance. Deal with the annoying Splinter, keeping the secret. Shun handed her a medicine to treat stab and arrow wounds, which could heal the girl's scars. The girl agreed. A few days later, a lot of people arrived in the clan who gathered to participate in the selection of students of the 13th generation. Yuan was surprised how many people who wanted to join the clan had come to participate in the selection. Han told Yuan that he should show his best and threatened him not to expect mercy if he couldn't. Qin and Han were joined by the girl's sister, Moning Suong. Her rank was 4th. She approached them, saying, Sister Yin, is this the Qin that you've been talking about so much lately? The girl immediately blushed, justifying herself. Ning Suong greeted Qin Yuan and introduced herself. And I had no idea that she would have such a beautiful older sister, the guy said, after which Han pulled his cheek and told him not to roll up to his sister. Every girl who saw Yuan immediately fell in love with him, causing him to get more and more points for temptation. While the girls were falling in love, the other male members were angry, wanting to finish him off first. Clan Chief Yin Ying stood in front of the participants and greeted everyone. I am very glad that you decided to participate in the current Yin Ying clan follower selection. The first step is extremely simple. This plant is called Yin Yang grass. It only grows on the peak of Yin Yang mountain. You need to collect 10 of these herbs, but you only have 3 hours to do so. The head of the clan showed the plant that the participants need to find. The guys exhaled because this task seemed too easy for them to just collect herbs, but the head added, also, I want to remind you that this is the first time our clan holds such an event. The complexity of the stages may not be entirely accurate, perhaps dangers will await you. If there are those who think that they are not yet strong enough, please stay and try to go further. You have 3 hours, I will announce everything, and now, the test begins. The members rushed to look for the right flower, but Yuan did not move. Han approached him, not understanding why he was standing, because Yin Yang grass is very difficult to find. The guy was not worried. Let the projectile fly a lot more. But the girls still did not understand why. Meanwhile, two girls wandered around in search of the right herb. This turned out to be much more difficult than expected. Half a day they found only 3 or 4 plants, but there was still time, so they did not despair. One of the girls noticed something very beautiful and immediately shared it with the second. As the girls got closer, they saw a naked guy in the X-source. It was Chin Yuan. Really, water spirit, the girls suggested. By activating the malevolent grin skill, the young man invited the girls to swim too. The young girls were embarrassed because this is the first meeting. We won't be right away, the pink-haired girl said, but when her friend looked at her, she was already undressed, justifying herself with the fact that her brother begged her. The second followed her friend and also undressed, not wanting to let her friend take care of herself. Temptation succeeded, 50 points earned. The system alerted the guy. Clinging to the guy, the girls talked about how great it would be to become classmates because they can see each other every day. But Yuan told the girls that his strength was not enough to get the necessary herbs, so they would have to part with the poet. The girls immediately agreed to help him by collecting the right grass. So, is it possible? The guy pretended to be embarrassed, but the girls said that it would not be difficult for them because they wanted to spend more time with Mr. Chin. The girls dressed and ordered to wait for them, and then left. No wonder so many people like to be gigolos. Sit on a woman's neck is very comfortable. I would like to continue to live in the same spirit. Suddenly, a beautiful girl appeared behind Jin Yuan. She praised the guy, saying that she had never seen such a handsome gentleman before. I wonder what I have to do to be lucky enough to spend the night with the Lord. A naked girl standing in the spring asked Yuan while flirting with the guy. Chin immediately realized that this was no ordinary girl. He pulled grass from the pond towards him, saying, "Of course, there is rarely a chance to be with such a beauty, however. You are a flow evil spirits. I'm afraid that all you need is to suck the life force out of me, isn't it?" The girl smiled, ceasing to hide her real self. She confirmed the guy's words and immediately tied him up with the help of vines, restricting his movements. "But why don't you accept it? I don't like being rude." Coming closer, she said, "Mr. is so attractive, don't worry. I'll just absorb your life energy, I won't kill." The young man was not going to give up. He applied the scorching sun and the evil spirits were immediately thrown away from him by fire. Yao Yao realized her mistake. She asked for mercy on her because she did not harm him. You can avoid execution, but not punishment, for sucking out the energy of others, said the guy, after which Yao nevertheless atoned for her guilt, and the guy's experience of limitless magic increased. After the process was over, Yuan dressed up and praised Yao's skills. He advised her not to get on the wrong path in the future. The girl thanked Jin for her guidance and promised to focus on cultivating. The fair-haired girl and her friend met in the first danger. They screamed for help as they were tied by Otri demon, thereby protecting the grass. The tree, in a rage, with a sharp movement, tried to pierce the girl with its branches, but then Jin Yuan appeared and cut the danger with the help of the dragon constellation with one movement. A terrible roar was heard from the tree. Jin Yuan asked for forgiveness from the plant, because he would have to fight with him, because he could not leave the future sisters in trouble. It turned out that the tree had delayed not only Yuan's two familiar girls. The guy immediately took possession of the hearts of unfamiliar ladies. His badges for temptation increased. The girls shouted at the guy to be careful, to which Yuan made it clear to them that they should not worry, he was ready to save them. The tree immediately attacked the guy, but Yuan immediately cut into pieces all the branches that attacked him, although the tree still scratched the boy's cheek. Jin wiped the blood from the scratch, thinking in his mind, we need to dodge the branches. Looks like we need to be careful. The girls were furious. How could that damn dryad scratch Jinlord's face? The young ladies were not going to spare the tree and immediately tore the branches that enveloped them in the tree. Yuan watched in complete shock as the girls fought the tree, who was also shocked by the situation. But the boy quickly came to his senses and noticed that yin-yang grass was spread around the dryad. Wasting no time, he decided to get down to business. A few minutes later, the ferocious tree was defeated, but when the girls turned around, Yuan was gone. Meanwhile, the guy continued his search, thinking where he could find the remaining 4 plants. Suddenly, the guy was attacked from the back by one of the participants, but Jin managed to dodge. Hey, friends, instead of collecting grass, you ambushed me, is it possible? The young man scolded the scoundrels. Hooligans advised the guy to surrender voluntarily. The grass is very difficult to find, they themselves found only one at a time, 4 in total, and he managed as many as 6. But Yuan quickly dealt with them after the beaten guys themselves offered to take their plants. You said earlier that you were missing 4 plants, in that case, why don't we share and save everyone the trouble? Jin Yuan thanked the guys for their generosity by taking their plants. 3 hours later, everyone gathered again at the place where the selection began. The clan leader congratulated those who passed the first stage and said that the winner of this stage could immediately become a disciple of the Yin Yang clan. Jin Yuan bowed and told the sisters not to lose heart and advised them to work harder. Next time, you will succeed. Yuan encouraged the girls. Han was proud of the young man, but something was wrong. Her was upset that he was very popular among the girls. After being selected, Zuin walked around the heart of the clan. The weather was snowy, although the girl did not seem to notice it because she should have been happy for Yuan, but her heart was heavy. Suddenly, someone covered hair with an umbrella from the snow, with the words, "I found it." It was Jin Yuan. The girl asked why he had come, because the guy could enjoy the attention of the sisters' mentors, but he replied that he wanted to share the joy with her. The girl remembered her reasoning before the guy came and justified herself by saying that she meant that she was a little upset because her student did not share his results with the mentor. Then the girl remembered that it was on this day that the monthly night of purification, and the followers would have to go to purify their bodies. The person who attacked them during training would have to go there, and his scars would certainly show. Yuan told Han to pay attention to her safety first, but she reassured him because there would be many people, and that girl would not act at random. Arriving for the night of purification, the girls began to discuss that they would like to take a bath with Qin, and Zuin could not find the wounded girl. Qin Yuan lay in his room and reasoned and could not understand. I don't understand what is happening with Zuin. She always walks alone and acts aloof. Suddenly, a thick fog formed just below his stomach, which continued to grow. This scared the guy very much, but the fog dissipated as quickly as it appeared, and instead of it, the fairy of 10,000 worlds appeared with a proposal to go to Han. Yuan asked what she was doing here. Smiling, the girl answered him that, as an observer, she could be anywhere she wanted, but she could not influence what was happening, and others would not see her either. Having understood the situation, the guy said that he could not go to her, because he could be thrown out for penetrating into the women's bath. Then the fairy invited him to turn into a girl, but the guy thought it was a joke. Calling Yuan a fool, the girl explained to him that there must be something in the system store that would turn him into a girl. The player went into the store and actually found the kind of illusion charm that he would get for 1,000 points. With the help of such illusions, one can turn into the chosen person, but the body can be injured. The higher the charm of the person who wants to use this charm, the lower the chances of being noticed. The young man asked in disbelief why the fairy reminded him of this, but she reassured him, saying that this was just a game hint, and besides, the guy would have fun. The girl hurried the guy, wanting to see him in girl, and the guy began reincarnation. Qin Yuan rose into the air, and everything around him lit up with purple light. After the reincarnation was completed, the fairy was surprised because he became her. There was a template in front of me, so it's natural that I reincarnated as you. Although I would change a little, said the guy, increasing his chest. Frowning, the fairy called him a blockhead. At this time, Zuin was still watching the girls at the spring, but her search was not progressing, when suddenly someone touched her shoulder. Turning around, the girl saw Yuan in the body of a girl. The female version of Yuan offered to help her, but Han did not understand why the girl suddenly turned to her. Jin then admitted that it was him. The girl was very surprised, because Jin Yuan turned out to be a girl, but then he explained to her that this was just a cover.